Joining us now is political editor Andrew Clennell. It's a curious one. There'd be one fewer number for Barnaby Joyce to vote next time, for one thing. Talk us through the decision and what you think's behind it.
Well, I mean, it looks like a bit of a half-dummy spit, if you like, Tom. I've spoken to Llew O'Brien this morning and he's basically confirmed he is leaving the Nationals Party room. He wasn't at that meeting this morning of the Nationals Party room, but he wants to remain in the government. So Llew O'Brien telephoned Scott Morrison last night, let him know of his decision, and they're still having discussions. This is what he said to me, if we can bring that up. He said, on the 18th of May, I was re-elected in the electorate of Wide Bay. My great hope is that doesn't change. I continue to serve my constituency as an LNP MP, minus sitting in the National Party room. So I guess it's a bit of a kick to Michael McCormack, but as we so often see in these situations with a government with a small margin, it's an opportunity to barter on plenty of policy and get some outcomes from his electorate. I guess from the government's point of view, they hope it turns into a bit of a Kevin Hogan situation where Hogan went away from government, but he didn't really cross the floor. I guess they're hoping they can keep it to that. For O'Brien's part, it's still unclear whether or not he'll sit in the crossbench. He's just not in that Nats party room.
Because... Yeah,
sorry, he's mentioned the casting ahead to the next election. That's pretty presumptuous on his part to think if he's not standing with the Nats that they wouldn't put up their own candidate. I mean, we've seen that before, Julia Banks style. It doesn't work.
I guess he's hoping for a new leader by then, and then he might rejoin the National Party room. Let's look a few steps ahead in this kind of strange development. I guess Barnaby Joyce warned this was a possibility down the track. And worst fears of the Prime Minister half realised, not fully realised yet. He may be able to talk him to stay on the government benches but not attend the Nationals Party room, a party roomless MP, government MP.
Kevin Hogan, as you mentioned, so he sat with the crossbench. I think it's fair to say within a couple of months it was a bit of a non-issue. He wasn't going to waver on legislation, so it didn't matter too much. So if Llew O'Brien's sitting even, going one step less, if you like, and sitting with the government, is it going to be a big headache for Scott Morrison, or does he seem as though he'll be, from conversations you've had with him, pretty much on board still?
Well, I think on certain legislation he could still cross the floor. Federal ICAC's been mentioned, and I think that's really up to how Scott Morrison goes on a diplomatic level now with Llew O'Brien. So there's clearly a dialogue going on. He's getting access a Nationals backbencher might not normally have to a Prime Minister, and that's one other thing that Morrison will have to deal with in coming months.
Now, we've also had Matt Canavan weigh in. We've got that tweet here as well saying, I see some are saying that we should not help coal-fired power stations provide jobs because we should leave it to the market. Well, if that's the view, be consistent and argue against the billions we give to renewables every year. Now, that's in relation to this exploration or this feasibility study for Collinsville, $4 million. Do you think that the divide in the Liberal coalition ranks is starting to show?
It's just extraordinary. We had this party room meeting last week where you had a series of moderate Libs way out here and the Queensland Nats here, and Canavan just keeps up the war when Trent Zimmerman or Dave Sharma gets on our channel and says, we need to do more on climate change and we shouldn't fund a coal-fired power station. Now, a feasibility study, as you guys know, is just that. It's really often a load of garbage when it comes to actual outcomes. It's almost there to keep the Queensland Nats happy. I guess the Libs are moving in to try to stop that going any further or put their very strong view on that. Canavan's pushing back. That's a big decision about a year down the track for Scott Morrison. On top of this too, Angus Taylor is pushing for some taxpayer funding to keep Liddell Power Station open, and the New South Wales government is pushing against keeping that coal-fired power station open. So you've got division on all fronts in the coalition on this issue.
Yeah, you get the reason why Angus Taylor didn't want to use the T word, target, and was pushing back against that in that article today. Andrew Clennell, thanks for that.